life, they're telling you everything about their previous life. When you look at your kids, you can see that one portion of your child is made up of things that you put into him. Another portion, your wife put into him. And then there's another portion of your child that's not influenced by either you or your wife. Where's that portion coming from? Right? He has personality, he has traits that you go like, oh, where's that coming from? So obviously he's brought that from a previous life. And it's really easy to observe this in children, adults harder, but in the first 4 years of a child's life, they're telling you everything about their previous life. So Brian, if you took your wife and your kids and you took a month off London Real, you go to Asia, right? You travel around, you go to India, you go to Nepal, hike the Himalayas, you go to Cambodia, Indonesia, you have a fabulous time with your family for a month, right? You come back home to London, what will you be talking about in the first few days after you come home?
My trip.
Your trip, right?
Yeah.
You'll tell your friends, you'll tell your team, you'll show photos. So imagine if you went on an 80-year vacation. What will you talk about afterwards?
My trip.
Yeah. So if you lived for 80 years and you died and you reincarnated, what will you talk about? Your last trip. So your kids are telling you all the time about their previous life, and because parents are so close-minded, they go like, oh, it's so cute that Johnny is talking about being a soldier. You know, must have seen something on TV of his friends at kindy told him about being a soldier. No, he's telling you about his last life.
My son Caden acts out entire monologues in front of me and my wife. I kid you not. Like, he stands on the king-size bed and we sit and watch him. In his own language, he acts out these entire monologues as if he's telling the story of like a medicine man somewhere. It's something to behold. Everything inside of me tells me, but there's something going on here.
He's telling you what he did in his past life. Because when you go for a vacation for a month, you talk about it for 1-2 weeks afterwards. So imagine if Caden lived 80 years in a previous life doing something that he was passionate about and really involved in. That's what he's trying to tell you. And the problem with parents is that they have their own agenda, they're not open-minded enough or know enough to look and go, what is he doing? Kids are also very psychic at that age, right? In the early years, they're able to look into what we call this the astral plane and see beings that don't exist in the physical plane and communicate with them even. So we believe there's a physical plane in Hinduism, and then there's also an astral plane which exists right here, right now, but that's outside our visual spectrum. Have you seen the movie Ghost? With Patrick Swayze?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so you know when Patrick Swayze dies, Whoopi Goldberg can see into the astral plane, right? So she can see like dead people, so she could communicate with Patrick Swayze and other ghosts, and she was like this channel or something like that. And kids are that way too. Not all kids, but a lot of kids can see. And that's why when you say like your son's like almost like he's talking to somebody, he's able to see, they're able to see into that plane for a little bit of period, a few years, and then after that kind of lose that ability as they develop their intellect and really get anchored into the physical plane.
And we condition them out of it too, right?
Yeah,
Stop doing that.
Right.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Work on your homework.
Stop talking to your imaginary friend, right? No, they're talking to somebody. So they've just come. So when you die, you leave the physical plane, you go into the astral plane, you're not somewhere else, you're functioning in the astral plane till it's time to reincarnate again. So when you come back from the astral plane, you go back to the physical plane, there's a transition period. It's not binary, it's not a 0-1. And you know, there's a little transition period, and there's parts of you that are still connected to that world, and you can see and you can communicate with people, and that's probably who your son is talking to. The best thing you can do with children is just be completely observant and see, what are they trying to tell you? And really observe, because once you understand what their traits are and their characteristics are, you can cultivate it. If you're humble enough, right, you can cultivate it.